views and opinions expressed on Geeks Under the Influence are that of the panelists and not of our sponsors, Amazon.com and TeePublic. Parental discretion is advised.
I see that Argento is kind of on his downturn in the 90s on, where he hasn't done any kind of like big production thing, but I do think that there's some possibility that he could have gone the route like so many other auteur directors. We've talked about Lynch and him being similar, and you've got even Lynch did Elephant Man and fucking Dune. Jodorowsky was supposed to do Dune as well. I mean, then you've got like currently Denis Villeneuve, who's very art house.
Is that how you pronounce that?
That's how I pronounce that. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to pronounce that. But
yes. But I mean, for those who don't know, he did 2049, Blade Runner. So
The Arrival.
Yeah, I mean, those movies alone,
stunning.
Let me know he could do something that needed a landscape of Dune. You know what I mean? Like
Villeneuve's, whatever. Denis Villeneuve.
Denis V.
His version of Dune just recently released in the theater and also on HBO Max. I am very happy that we actually made it out to the theater to see it on the big screen. I did not see it on IMAX, which I heard was the way to go.
I watched it at home, but we have a 4K TV and surround sound, so it was like being on
It's getting
theater.
close. Like, there is that like uncanny valley between the home theater and major theater.
IMAX,
yeah.
had to.
I'm going to have to go back for IMAX because this is such a visually stunning film.
Yeah, dude, and the sound, I mean, like, just the soundtrack, again, and that's what I was really anticipating going into this with Denny V behind the behind the camera.
That's where we're going with.
We're going with it, yeah, that's
was just the scores in Blade Runner 2049, the bass, the ominous tones, they were all there in Dune, and it was just like, man, I felt that shit in like my fucking balls, dude. It was awesome.
The first time through that I started watching this, I was like, in the first hour, I was on the verge of tears twice, just being like, I want to give a blowjob, without reciprocation to whoever did the sound on this.
We talked about it a bunch of times on the show. It's called blow spect, where it's not even a sexual thing. It's just like, you deserve a blowjob.
You deserve this. I will do this for you.
It's not even like a sexual thing. It's just like, you deserve sexual gratification.
Hey, you earned this, buddy.
Yeah, you earned this. This is a thank you blowy. Yeah,
yes. I wonder if he used the same the same composers.
It's Zimmerman, or Zimmer. It's the same. The Vangelis was the original person on the original Blade Runner, and Hans Zimmer, who's done a million different types of soundtracks.
Yeah, so he did Dune too.
Did a Vangelis style soundtrack to 2049, and then came in on Dune, just being like, no, fuck it, we're gonna go.
Savannah.
Yeah, right.
You just sounded like a really bad immigrant song.
Yeah, okay.
That's kind of where you went with that.
Oh no, fuck no. If could you imagine if they're just like walking through the desert, be like the sandwich country, and you hear, and then that's when you see the person on the sandworm.
Yes, all that. Yes.
From the land of the
No, totally not.
Just straight unhooks one of the hooks and like spinning it around up top.
Spice and sand. Land of the spice and sand.
There you go.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
Desert of the gods.
Jesus Christ.
Shalom. All right, so let's get to the actual subject matter here. We are talking about the new 2021 Dune Part 1 by Denis V. That just released in theaters and on HBO Max. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty, talk about previous iterations of Dune that have hit the screen, big and small screen, as well as the book, the differences between all of them on this episode of Geeks Under the Influence. Thank you so much for listening. Nick on this episode has been waiting for literally years to come on for a Dune episode.
I have.
I think even before there was an announcement there was going to be a new Dune, he was like, can we do a Dune episode? I'm like, geez, we have to do like 3 episodes to cover Dune. Like, just the first book. But it took literally just this movie coming out to really give us reason to like dig in, because fuck, man, we haven't even done Lord of the Rings yet. Like this is
I
up
did
there.
not realize that.
Yeah, we have not yet done Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we haven't.
That is on the list. And the philosophers I have at the table here to discuss the based on a true story, Dune Part 1. Really kind of the inspiration for us to do this episode, and also the most familiar with the original material. We've got Nick Coon here.
That's fair. Hi.
Hi. You've only been on Smack My Pitch Up for the Lost Boys episode so
Correct.
far. Although we've been friends forever. Just looking for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is it.
This is my
you brought
wheelhouse.
toys with you. Like you brought you're like the bingo lady that shows up with like green hair and has like her troll dolls that she sets up nice.
There's
I'm gonna be here
things
for a while.
there's things that you bring to set the scene.
So what do you have with you?
Okay, so I brought like my 4th worn out copy of Dune that is being held together with packing tape. I needed something to point at y'all with, so I had actually forged out a crisp knife with 2 different kinds of canister Damascus because I make knives.
Yep.
And I just needed to point at y'all, and that actually made that like to the specs of the book.
Nice.
And was dropping off a Gom Jabbar that I made for one of our friends that's going as one of the Bene Gesserit from the book and for Halloween. So I'm going to drop that off to her later.
It's all your little antiquities of
Yes.
of the book. Next up is a big fan of the Lynch Dune.
Yes.
And I'm interested to see kind of your feelings on the new one versus like the Lynch Dune as well. A returning, I think it's always around spooky season you end up coming back here
Yes.
to record.
And I was thinking about it. We've never come up with like a good nickname for me.
No, you.
So I'm choosing the name of my manhood now. So nice little alliteration. I'm Audrey Atreides.
Audrey Atreides. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
That's my new nickname going
I'm
forward.
fucking down. Audrey Atreides is here
Yes.
to talk
thank
all
you.
things sandworm and warring houses.
I was gonna be like double A.
Yeah.
Double A, what you got?
What you got, double A? No, I was playing.
Next up, of course, is my Duncan, Idaho. The gigantic man I look up to, like literally in height. Physically, I look up to him. My Jason Momoa.
I wish. I want his money.
No shit.
Fuck.
Lowdown Brown MacGyver's here.
What's going on, everybody? Really stoked to talk about this movie.
my
This
God.
movie blew me away. I literally was one of those movies that I don't experience it like this. I'm walking out. I was just like, fuck. Yeah. All right. That was something. Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe that feeling you walk out when it's like you just literally experienced something that was just special. And
Well, with
You
this
know.
also, there was...
2049 was probably...
Yeah, 2049 had the
2049
same
was
feeling.
one of those
This is
feelings.
such a dense film that I had kind of mixed feelings coming out where I was like, okay, this is incredibly important, but I don't know if I can even really speak to like the level of enjoyment I had to it until I watch it again, because I need to have some level of like understanding of it first to be able to launch back into it to get a better, like the thing that I picked up on the second watch that I thought was so important that I just missed the first one was the conversation about how the Messiah the Fremen were looking for was implanted by the Gesserit, that the mythos of their Messiah was literally concocted over thousands of years.
Double Jesus.
Double Jesus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
King Arthur at Jesus is basically him. And yeah, that was all planned over thousands of years. That's fucking wild. That's wild.
I love everything that they did with how they treated the Bene Gesserit with everything in it, just how calculated everything was with it.
It was nuts that they're that forward thinking, that they're looking at like mixing the bloodlines to get to a place where they have one person that's like basically like the Adam Warlock of the Dune universe,
Which,
just like
I
the
mean-
perfect human.
Paul's mom even said after they have in their meeting with the witch, elder, whatever her name was, Nick,
Guys,
guy, there you go.
with the Reverend Mother, saying that our plans are measured in centuries.
Yeah, I mean they literally talk about that
Gaius
afterwards. It was
Mohim.
pretty awesome. Like when the mom's like, "No, this has been like, this isn't like just hey 3 months ago,
Right?
And anyway, we got one more person introduced, the Baron of the Geeks Under the Influence Network. Yeah.
Oh, fuck you too, buddy.
I didn't even look. I mean, as far as the maestro, he's just sitting in the back, just kind of doing his thing.
I was rewatching. I was trying to rewatch the Lynch Dune while working today. Those two things did not work too well, so I didn't get too far in. But there was a scene where there's a dude that's like cleaning the scabs on the Baron's face. He's just like, "Oh, I like your skin." I'm like, I'm done.
My
I'm done.
lovely
It's so
skin.
gross.
My
It's
lovely
lovely
skin.
to me, or
So gross.
something like
Your
that.
your lovely skin's lovely. Yeah, something really fucking ugh.
So gross.
Oh no. But I will say that Skarsgård did a fantastic job as the Baron.
Skarsgård was
Yeah.
awesome.
Was killed it.
Yeah, because like the one in the Lynch version was just so campy, over the top.
Oh yeah.
So I really did like how Peter Skarsgård, his character with that. Like I thought that was so much better because like there's a scene in the Lynch version where he's just like zooting around like wee in circles, like
Like
Yeah.
Slimer and
ceiling.
Ghostbusters, just like spinning around the chandelier.
Is it? Because I do get the Skarsgård. Is it Peter or Stellan?
Wait, no, that was Stellan Skarsgård.
Stellan's
There was
No,
because Stellan Skarsgård was in like Thor and
Yeah,
Avengers.
Yeah.
It's the same
He's
one, right?
the eldest of the
There's so many
Skarsgård
fucking
clan.
Skarsgårds. Just like there's so many fucking Hemsworths.
No, that's
acting.
the Skarsgårds and the Hemsworths. That's the way they put them
They're
in Marvel.
royal
because
acting families.
Otherwise, they would just take over all other films. So they're like, you gotta. That's like
The-
House Atreides and House.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
There's House Skarsgård,
Harkonnen.
House...
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hemsworth.
sorry. I was just like I couldn't remember his name. I knew he was a Skarsgård.
Oh no, there's a actor named Peter Sarsgaard. Oh, this is Stellan Skarsgård. Okay.
Okay.
We got it all fucked up.
No, but there's also tons of Skars. I think there's like 4 Skarsgårds
Yeah, there's
acting.
like
No, I
Alexander,
feel like
Bill,
This
Gustav.
This was a misstep in the movie that they even had Stellan Skarsgård as a Harkonnen as the Baron, and so they could have just been lousy with all the Skarsgårds on that side playing Harkonnens, and then you just get the fucking Hemsworths to be the Atreides.
Yes.
And then you talk about easy casting. Just bring your cousins.
Yeah.
Just bring your cousins on.
I mean, I don't know if the Hemsworth would fit the Atreides look.
Oh, you don't think the like fucking bronzed blonde god look? It doesn't.
Yeah, that's not House
for-
Atreides.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely not House Atreides. House Atreides was supposed to be dark-haired, pale-skinned, hawk-like features, skinny, scrawny, calculated. Half of Harkonnen was supposed to be like giant fat, and the other half was supposed to be bronzed, beautiful. It's like that's what Fade was supposed to be, and they didn't bring him in
Can
the
we
movie.
talk about Poe Dameron's fucking beard? Because that thing was luscious.
Dude, Oscar Isaac, again, actually it wasn't a great fit based off that description, but that beard though, like
that was a solid.
that was a gorgeous
It was
fucking
good.
beard.
I don't know. I felt like Oscar Isaac was just phoning it in. Like the beard was about all he had going for him in this movie.
He was leading with his beard.
Yeah, he was leading with his beard. Like he was acting with his beard.
I feel like one thing that was trying to be established is that the Harkonnen family was a lot more kind of emotionally chaotic than the Atreides family. The Atreides family was a lot more measured in their responses to things. They're more like a look before you leap kind of approach, where Oscar Isaac and even Paul definitely were a little quieter and a little bit more measured in their responses to things. And then you've got Jesus Christ, Drax, like fucking
Raban.
yeah, just going and was like, I want to kill everyone. Just fucking this
He's
ball
How
of
can we let them
rage.
take everything? I'm like, yo, bro, it's cool.
And they're like, bro, no, actually, like, this is actually work out for us. And I just wanted a moment where he was like, well, I didn't know that. just like embarrassed at how mad he was about it.
But that's another part that I was like so sad that they haven't brought in a certain other character yet. That was like in the books. His brother's heavily involved in that, and his brother's the one that's sitting there going, "You haven't thought this through, dumbass."
Yeah.
That's where I'm coming in later, kind of stuff.
Well, they're a little more than halfway through the book at this point, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
So
So they still got a pretty decent amount to cover.
Is his brother as brutish but also smarter than him? Is the brother like the best of both kind of thing?
So in the book, like if you read the book, it's not any kind of spoilers, but there's Raban, there's Fade, which are the two brothers that are the nephews of Harkonnen, of the Baron.
Then there's Paul and Duncan.
Right.
Fucking Paul and Duncan. Those names.
Duncan, Idaho. Jesus.
Right.
Dude.
But Raban was just supposed to be this big, lumbering, angry, bloodthirsty moron of a beast that could just be a tyrant, and Fade was supposed to be this beautiful person that could come in.
There's this scene in the Lynch version where it's just like Sting as Fade is just kind of standing around in a cod piece, and like the Baron's eye fucking him the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just,
But again, they picked Sting, which
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just Sting.
Sting in the '80s, like
Yeah.
Little known fact, Desert Rose is actually about Arrakis. I don't know if you knew that, but that's not true at all.
Someone needs to make a YouTube mashup of that scene with the song Every Breath You Take. So it's like, wait, my song playing to somebody I fucking me. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Sorry, I just had to.
Every breath you take. I'm into it.
Yeah.
Hey,
You
we
like
can make
that?
this
Every
happen.
I think we could.
you take.
Yeah, right.
No, but
This is the musical episode.
Right.
yeah, right.
Not even the fifth musical episode we had, but including our literal musical episode.
Our literal music
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
that. Oh, and we did 12 Days of Christmas, which is coming back around the corner too.
That
so
is
you
true.
Bring that back out. That was
man,
fun.
That was very fun.
But no, I think Paul and I can't remember his dad's name.
Leto.
They were very stoic. Although the first time you see Leto, when he signs the treaty to the Emperor, signs that he's taking over the planet, that he actually looks back at Paul, and like it's almost like he's looking for his son to acknowledge, and like yes, I don't know what that look was about, but it was definitely almost like, why are you looking to your son before you do the thing? It was weird.
I did notice a vast difference on how they approached that accord of them taking over Arrakis in the Lynch version. The 25 minutes I watched before, I was like, I can't do spreadsheets and Sting in a cod piece. I can't do both of those things at the same time. But the way that they approached the signing of the accord and them going to Arrakis, they explained a lot of that with dialogue in the Lynch version, where it was, like the mustache twirly moment where it's like, and we'll send them to Arrakis, and they'll be like, yeah, because they want money, and then we'll go like, ooh, gotcha. And in this movie,
Psych.
I kind of liked that they went more that the Atreides family kind of knew they were going into a trap. Like they weren't sure exactly how things were going to go about, but they knew that there was some other shit happening, and even talked about that maybe the Emperor wasn't on their side anymore before the attack even happened. So they were part of this world. Like they know how the chess pieces move. So they were already aware that this is not great. Like, this is not the best situation.
The plots within plots.
Yeah.
Now I will say that's a huge difference, I think, between Dune and the Lynch Dune and the Denis V Dune, is that they come out of the gate saying that House Atreides does not want money.
Yep.
They want the power and the force that comes from the frickin' army. That's
Desert
Absolutely.
power.
Desert power. He knew these were warriors, so he wanted them to join his ranks, and that would have made him an unstoppable house and basically the new emperor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, because I think that's what they set up at the beginning of the Lynch version. It's because you see so much more of like, they tell you exactly what's going on in the Lynch version, and then you just kind of see everything as it's happening. But they have opened with the Space Guild telling them like there's plots within plots.
Yeah. The fact that the David Lynch version starts off where there's the woman comes up being like, it is the year, and then just like explains for 5 minutes the entire layout.
Yeah, that was Princess Irulan.
Irulan.
Well, it was taking the route of Star Wars at that time, giving you that little scroll.
Instead of the scroll, it was like,
somebody telling you.
It is 2294 or whatever the fuck it was.
Or more like a Blade Runner.
191.
Yeah.
The original Blade Runner had that whole like, this is exactly where we're at right now.
Oh, no, but they took that out in later versions, which I'm not mad about.
But the original, no, not at all.
I guess it depends on which version you see. Like the Blade Runner. Yeah, because I've seen the one where they still have.
There's like 5 different versions.
There's literally 5 versions of the movie. The final cut being the only one you need to watch moving forward.
True. But that being said, what I did like about Denny V's version of Dune is that there was a lot of show it instead of tell it, which does
subtext. Yeah,
there was a lot more subtext. There was it did lead to you being a little bit confused until later when things got mentioned, which you saw where it kind of filled in the blanks. So you had to hold on to stuff for a little while watching it until it got explained later, which was not the case with Lynch. Lynch was just like, and then we're going to do this and they'll be sad.
Well, yeah, that's honestly because I hadn't seen like the Lynch version since I was a kid or something, because I've seen it a bunch of times as a kid and I hadn't seen it. So when going in watching the new one, I forgot everything.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know what's going on in this whole thing. And then I had to watch the Lynch version. I was like, oh, okay, that's what was going on.
You watch the Lynch version where it's literally one person sitting there for 2.5 hours just explaining the plot of Dune.
Yeah,
There's
and
no
they'll be
action,
and
no
they're sitting
characters,
there.
just
They're sitting
David
there.
Lynch and then a smoking monkey, and he's just like, and then the Atreides family goes to Arrakis, and the monkey's just happily smoking a cigarette.
And then we did more mushrooms.
More mushrooms. Well, I will say, to give Lynch a little bit of credit, this is probably like the most mainstream film he's done outside of Elephant Man. And Elephant Man, even though it had Anthony Hopkins, still wasn't like a mainstream movie.
No.
I mean, he had like, he had some backing with this. This was like his. Honestly, can you think of something that was more mainstream than this?
No,
that he did?
no,
honestly,
absolutely not.
He can't do mainstream, and he also doesn't do well at
Twin Peaks
adapting
and,
other people's shit.
Twin Peaks and was it Wild at Heart? Maybe
Twin Peaks, but that was like the show got big because it was him and another writer. Was it Mark Frost?
Yeah.
And then they split, and only Lynch did the movie.
Yeah.
So like Frost was even involved with the movie.
Well, yeah, because that's why the second half of the second season of Twin Peaks just tanked, went downhill because he left.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he didn't like where it was going.
I mean, and the movie's amazing, but to me, the first chunk of the show is better than the movie.
And you need somebody to like hold down Lynch. Like you can't have him.
Have you seen Mulholland Drive?
Yeah, no shit.
Which, I mean, you could do a whole episode about David.
We talked about Lynch on the Argento episode where I talked about there's a monkey smoking a cigarette, and then you go into the box and you're lesbians now. Like it's just a whole fucking thing.
But Lynch's approach to his version of Dune ended up being the same way that it was with how Twin Peaks went. Like after it was out, he was not happy with how any of that came about. He's not proud of the project, and he's kind of hands off on it.
Well, yeah, because they changed the, I guess, director or whatever writing on it to like Alan Smithy, but I think with the 4K version that they just came out with, his name is back on it. I think he's had some time to process it. And
Oh,
he's just
50
like,
years,
"All right."
40, 45 years.
Well, actually, no, it came out a week after I was born. So,
ow!
Yeah. Yeah, December 14th, 1984.
Lynch did get done a little bit dirty. Well, it's also Lynch not paying attention to reality, is that he was planning on it being a 4-hour movie for Dune, and they were like, no. And he was like, no, like 3 hours and 48 minutes. And they're like, no, not even close. No, we're not going to do that.
That movie's right at like what, 145 or something like that?
It's a little over 2.
Is it a little over 2?
And so they edited the fuck out of it. So there's a lot with the Lynch Dune where if you know the book, you can follow relatively well. But if you don't know the book, you don't know the ins and outs of the book. There's a lot of like, wait, what fucking just happened?
And he threw a lot of things in there for kind of stylization that had nothing to do with the book, too.
Yeah.
That threw a lot of that off.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will give him this with that, however wild that book or movie was, I feel like his set design, I kind of liked it more than the more recent one.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Like I'm definitely with you with how he approached everything for Harkonnens.
Yeah.
That was absolutely more in line.
Where the Harkonnens just looked like
bleak,
like
yeah,
Blade style vampires.
Well, was it more how they looked, or was it more about their planet? Like their planet in Denis V's looked more like the secret planet they found in Rise of Skywalker. In the new film versus like Lynch's where it didn't. It looked evil, but it looked really polished. Like it was It was still very ceremonial, and I don't really. And like I said, I've read Dune, but again, it was kind of like with Hobbit, where it was a long time ago. I forget so much of that book, but I don't remember getting that interpretation of that family.
Right. It was supposed to just almost be like an industrialized. Almost leftover wasteland, but still populated kind of stuff.
Okay,
where
so not polished, not
polished unless you were the elites and everyone else was just there to serve them. They were brutal fascist dictators.
Okay,
well, and that's something that I really appreciate about Denis V's version is that I'm never going to not call him that now.
You're welcome.
Is that there's such a level of subtlety is that when you watch it a couple times, you start to pick up on the fact that he's talking about like water power and air power and desert power, and like we want desert power. Yeah. Is that it kind of alludes to the fact that the Atreides has a bit of control on the water side of things, and that these planets aren't really planets the way that we think of it as this ecosystem that everything works together. That there's this vast like galaxy of families and guilds that are working together to like transport their products, like farming, to the different parts of the world. So they have water. Some people have air where people don't have air. Things are being terraformed, and these planets aren't fully functioning as this entire ecosystem. Even Dune doesn't have much water. Like, it doesn't have things that you need to survive. And so they have to work together in order for these planets to like maintain life. So that's the whole point of Arrakis being important, is not only the spice, which is so fucking important for trade, but also a new resource. We don't rely, if we're water and desert, then we have much more behind us.
Yeah, exactly. And like, that's one of the reasons why in the books they had chose Atreides for it, because they had come from Caladan that was mostly an ocean planet. And that ocean planet had a large population of a certain kind of whale that created I don't remember.
It was oil, right?
It was either
Fat,
it was either a certain kind of oil or it was a certain kind of like a tumor byproduct that was it wasn't as valuable as spice, but it was one of the more valuable things universe wide that they had already had a monopoly on. So that's why they were chosen to go to where there's another planet to be able to handle a monopoly. But they had done that by, manufacturing everything they needed for water and being able to defend a water planet.
Yeah. And also like, that's why they were chosen. But, and I don't know if in the book it is, like I said, it was the same way as how they portrayed it in the movie, but dude was like, also, that's a whole other level of fighting power we have on our side now. Like, no, that's a whole other level of living. There's so much, and when Duncan came back and was like, no, they are the most vicious, like, fighters I have ever seen. Like,
well, that's like you have like a rich kid that got like taught, like took karate, with friends like in high school. And he's like, yeah, I'm a badass. I know karate. And then you got a kid that grew up dirt fucking poor and got in fist fights in the neighborhood and like just to survive. Who's going to win in that fight? The scrappy motherfucker.
I don't know, man. Paul took out that, what was the character's name?
Jamis.
Part of the, yeah.
Because he dreamt the fight beforehand.
Actually, that didn't have anything to do with it on that one.
He didn't actually dream the fight.
No, he dreamt that Jamis would be kind of the one that would teach him the ways of the desert, and he thought that Jamis was going to be kind of a mentor to him.
Yeah.
He didn't think that he was going to meet Jamis, kill him, and be like, oh, now I have to become something else. That's not how he thought he was going to learn the ways of the desert, and like, now I'm a killer and I can't go back.
Yeah, because the last time you see that vision with him, he's like, let me show you the desert. That's literally what he says.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is, I think having to kill that guy set him on the path towards what happens. Like, because I mean, are we spoiling like what happens later? Because we already know from watching.
It's tricky.
I'm gonna say no on that, because earlier in the movie, when there's the scene where he first gets the rush of spice trying to get everyone off of the carryall.
Oh yeah.
And there's the rushes of sound with him kind of having a little bit of time dysphagia going on there. You hear Bene Gesserit's voices, you hear the Reverend Mother saying, Paul Atreides must die for Muad'Dib to rise.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was expecting in that fight, is that he was gonna die, and then
I kind of was too, actually. Yeah. But I don't think that it was him literally dying. I think that after that fight, when Javier Bardem's character
Stilgar
says,
I just don't remember actor's name, so
yeah,
we will show, we will take you and show you our ways.
Yeah,
that was Paul dying.
Yep.
Like Paul is dying on that walk to learn.
Well, and that also
lifestyle
explains his response to the Bene Gesserit earlier in the movie, where it says, "Do you see things that before they happen, or basically, can you see the future?" And he's like, "Not exactly."
No.
And that's the point, is that he sees something that is more a philosophical construct of what is to happen, and it's not necessarily like a literal interpretation of the future.
I love that. It would be so heavy-handed if he like saw the future, like just him getting glimpses of just weird, like kind of related but not related things. Like that's what's awesome.
Then he has to deconstruct it and figure out what it actually means and what it's trying to tell him.
I fucking love that.
Which is fucking great.
So good.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the technology too in this fucking movie? Do we need to get in, or we need to wait till like a little bit? Because like there's so much fucking awesome like sweat and spit catching tent. What
Yep.
the fuck?
Oh, I loved that when
Like-
Bardem comes up and just spits on the table and people are like, motherfucker, and Duncan's like, whoa, bro.
Oh, that was such a good scene.
Such a
I
great
loved it.
scene.
Thank you for the gift of your water.
It's like, no, thank you for your, the gift of your body's moisture. It's like, fuck, oh, duh, they live in a fucking desert.
Right. Well, what's more sacred than water in this
No
culture?
shit.
What,
Yeah.
what do you
When
do
you-
to
when
show
you hear
respect?
that-
Like, have some spit.
He's not going to waste that on
Yeah.
an enemy.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, because I feel like they didn't do that too much in like the Lynch version. Like you didn't really get that, like the cultural
Yeah.
aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I loved Jason Momoa in this. Like,
Oh, yeah.
He was having
Yeah.
the time of his life. I loved him in this.
There's a behind the scenes where he's just like, "Dude, I'm almost 50. I can't do this shit anymore. Like, he's like, I look great on screen, but fuck, it's a lot.
Is
Like,
he almost 50?
He's in his
Yeah.
40s. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
But yeah, he had a blast. If you get a chance, Jason Momoa has a YouTube channel where he actually went out into areas of the desert that they were going to be filming Dune before production, and with friends of his to dress up in the outfit and kind of climb the rocks and like kind of like commune with the area to get a feel for the character, to kind of get a feel for the environment, so that when he went in, he was going in familiar. He wasn't coming
Yeah.
out of air conditioning being like, ooh, it's warm, and then having to deal with it. Like
Yeah.
he had a very good understanding of the environment they were filming in, and he showed the footage to Denis V, and Denny was like, I gotta go film something. And he was like, fuck, this is amazing. And he was like, nope, we gotta film stuff, and immediately did some pickup footage just because he got inspired by Momoa's going out and about in the world. And I was like, I at least gotta get pickup footage. I gotta do something because this is fucking amazing.
Well, isn't Momoa Samoan, too?
I
followed
believe
his-
so.
He's
Or his Pacific Islander? Like, I followed some of his Instagram, and
Pacific Islander,
he's,
yeah, I
he's
think.
definitely, like, of, like, the island. I know, because he talked about,
Well, he
like,
does the haka and stuff too. Any chance he gets,
he gets
so
he got a couple gifts from people, and it was
Yeah.
just culture. It was like specific cultural gifts to him and his legacy. And
yeah.
his,
Well, he actually kind of part of his fighting style in that it's actually part of, I guess it was kind of like a Easter egg for his son or something. The certain way that they fight. He just kind of introduced that in the character to be
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah. So I
yeah.
thought that was really neat.
So I mean, because I know he's very big into his race, his culture, his
Yeah.
ethnicity.
Fuck
Like
yeah.
I do follow him on Instagram, and like he just always like people send him just gifts, and he's just like, thank you so much. Like I get to bring a little this flair. It'll be like clothing or jewelry, and a lot of
That's
stuff you
awesome.
see him wearing is like stuff either obviously he's bought or like a lot of stuff fans send him, like a shirt, just shit like that. That's very cultural.
Talk about an actor that it really embodies like chaotic good, where he's
No
just
shit.
he's like he's full of like crazy energy, and he's constantly just like yeah, but it's like it's all positive. He's a very positive minded person. He's always
Right.
forward driven, always thoughtful. He does a lot of stuff for like nonprofits and really thoughtful about this stuff. But he's also like like where it's like your friend where you're like what are we doing? And it could be we're gonna go watch a movie, or it's like we're going to fucking Sri Lanka for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To like go through the jungles.
Like it's
And-
like what was I gonna say? There's like at cons, like when you buy the photo ops, like there's a couple times you see it on the internet where couples would do the photo op together, but he would like grab the girl and act like he's kicking the dude away,
Yep.
just random dumb shit like that. Because
of course,
he would talk to him
the-
first,
the
like, "Hey, I'm
woman's
gonna
just
do
like,
this, so if you're cool with it, like," and like, "Oh yeah, totally, I get it." Like,
Godspeed.
Oh, the fighting style is called Kali.
Kali.
Oh,
It's
Kali.
from
It's a blade
That's awesome.
fighting.
Yep.
yeah,
weapon fighting,
native to the
I've
Philippines.
taken a couple classes of that. The place I used to train Muay Thai, I had a guy that came in that was specialized in that was training Muay Thai, and they were like, "Hey, well, if you know this, would you want to get paid as an instructor to teach this? And everything else will be free, plus we'll pay you something like that." So anyway, he was teaching like 3 classes a week of Kali. It's a dance. It's like a
great.
dance sword
Yeah.
style. It's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Pacific Islander blade version of capoeira. Like I love that so much.
Yeah, yeah.
And the great part of that is if you're a teenager and you're learning this stuff, that when you get home late from a class and your mom is like, "Where were you?" It's like, "Kalima."
Stop.
Kalima.
Well done, Hobbit. That was
thank you.
Yeah.
that was.
Thank you very
That's
much.
been a while. That was a good one. No, that was a good one. That was a good one.
And then you rip her heart out by doing it.
We all set that up. You literally had to say a sentence. Good job.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
job.
yeah.
Good job.
That was
I
a
like
long voyage, but I'm glad you were all here with
it.
me. On that note, we do need to talk about the technology because I'm very excited to talk about that, but we are at the break. So let's cut it for now. You can hear about some of the other shows on the network. When we come back, we're going to talk about what we're drinking and then jump right back into Dune. Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1.
Yes. V.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm FU Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're going to fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
Embrace the madness.
My name is Amy Bogard,
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
and we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
Hey guys, Scotty Big Daddy Preston here, that's right, the Geek Father, asking you to join me here every other week with friends and family of the GUI Network as we go through all the trials and tribulations of being a geeky parent. So remember, join us or cry.
We're back for the second half of Geeks Under the Influence, all things Dune Part 1 from Denis V.
All
Yay.
things spice, bitch.
Spice. He who controls the spice controls my dick.
I love my shirt.
I don't know.
Man, that was a golden opportunity for a Spice Girls joke.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's going to be some spice up your life jokes.
He literally is down
Plenty.
to one a month.
That's a damn lie. I've gotten 5 today.
Well, not recorded.
Not recorded. I'm way behind on my dad joke quota for the month. Yeah. So, okay, fuck. It's already a train wreck. Before we get into the second half, let's talk about our sponsors a little bit. First off, of course, is Amazon.com. If you have not read Dune, if you have not read I think it's 32 books in the Dune series, whereabouts.
Yeah.
There's Children of Dune. There's Great Grandchildren of Dune. There's like Uncles by Marriage of Dune. I think there's a bunch of them that you can get through Amazon.com, as well as the Lynch movie. I don't know if you can find the series or not on Amazon. If you rooted around enough, I'm sure you could probably find something.
I'm sure we could find, if we rooted around enough on there, we could find the Sci-Fi Versions miniseries of all 12 hours of Dune, Children of Dune, and fuck, why am I drawing a blank? Because I've been drinking. It wasn't God Emperor, it was Children of Dune and Heretics of Dune.
Heretics of Dune.
Yeah.
Notice how
All
that
12
hasn't come
hours
up
of
at all this episode.
Wait, because that's
The Heretics
out
of
there a
Dune?
little bit.
Just the sci-fi version of Dune.
Oh, yeah. For good reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, you can get all that and more. There's apparently a comic based on the Villeneuve version that is about to release or just released that you could probably find on Amazon as well. All that stuff. If you go through our link at GUIPodcast.com to Amazon, we get credit for any purchases that you make on the site. So you're spending the same amount of money. We get some credit for it. So it helps us pay for the booze, the microphones, the equipment, the storage fees, all the stuff that comes along with podcasting. So you're helping us out. You're enabling our alcoholism by shopping through the link at GUIPodcast.com. The best way to support us, though, is our 40 plus designs available on TeePublic. TeePublic. And hopefully we'll have a Dune design up by the time this episode releases. If we don't, it will be in short order afterwards. TeePublic has teamed up with Dune and allowed us to do licensed Dune stuff
That's rad.
for the show. So we're going to be able to do some really very cool Dune stuff for you. So check that out at GUIPodcast.com/store or click on the link at our homepage at GUIPodcast.com. There's all the spooky designs are going to be available through the end of the year. All the stuff that we do temporarily, all the spooky Halloween stuff, we keep up through the holiday season because everybody needs some spooky even during the Christmas season. And inside jokes from the different shows, designs from the different shows, tons of shit available. Check it out. And they have sales all the time. So if you see that the shirts are $20, wait like 3 days and check again. They'll be down to $13 or $14. They're on sale constantly, especially during the holidays. So check that out. Buy yourself some merch. Also, I do want to say there were some challenges with the quality of the designs during the pandemic because they were having to outsource to other companies, and it was a whole thing. I recently got some new stuff, a hoodie and a shirt in that the quality is back to a solid quality level again. So if you had any challenges with the quality of the shirts before, it looks like they're back on track to where they were previously, as being decent quality that will hold up for a decent amount of time. So if that's your worry, don't worry. It seems like they got that back to where it needs to be. So, and onto the thing that really drives this show, the juice, the spice.
Yes.
That spices up our life on this.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
We knew it was coming.
We're talking, of course, about what we're drinking.
Hey, we're fucking drinking. We're getting drunk. You want to know? Well, here you go. Hey.
We're drinking. We're getting drunk.
Yeah. So, Lowdown,
Drinks
you brought
must flow.
the spice must flow, and it's going to flow into our mouths here in a minute. What are we drinking?
We are
this
drinking.
evening?
This is from it's East Coast local, as per usual. This is from the Vale Brewing Company out of Richmond, Virginia. This is their Marzen. This is called Deathless. Yeah, this is their Marzen style lager. This is their Oktoberfest. Comes out. I don't know how many years they've been brewing this. This is my first year getting this. I actually have a bottle of a barreled version of this.
I will
I'm
say,
excited to try.
I am normally not a fan of the Vale. We've picked on that brewery a few times on the show. It's just too many IPAs for one brewery. But I will say this is really good.
It's really good. I feel like it's a good balance between a roasted style Marzen and a fest beer. So the light crispness, the more tartness, hopness from it.
You
would
still
be
get
the
a
fest
little bit
beer.
of malt to it, but it's not
Yeah.
overplayed. Yeah,
Exactly. It's a good balance.
That's a solid.
It's labeled as a
drink.
Marzen, but it definitely I think it has both, because I personally don't like a straight fest beer because it's just, or fest beer, however you fucking pronounce it. I don't know. I'm not German. Sorry, I don't.
Yeah.
I could be butchering it. I'm sorry, but it's definitely really crisp. Not a lot of roasted caramel notes on the back end. That is more traditional Marzen style.
Sure. Yeah,
But you do get some of the lightness up front with this that comes from that.
yeah.
So I really do think they tried to balance the two.
There's a residual sweetness that kind of lingers on the palate.
That would
after you're
definitely be
done.
the Marzen,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That would definitely be from the roasted caramel toffee notes.
What's that ABV on that?
5.5.
Okay, so it's
straight up a
definitely not
Marzen.
gonna ruin your life if you drink a couple of those.
I mean, like any like the highest ABV Oktoberfest I think I've ever had is 6,
okay,
unless it's barreled.
okay.
You know, like
Sweet.
I mean, Oktoberfest don't get boozy.
I think that's the only. But honestly, it's a relief that there's only one share.
After
this
last
time.
episode, fuck
After
me.
the last episode, there were like what 3 or 4 shares. This is fucking
4?
obnoxious.
4. There
yeah.
were 4. Someone brought 2.
Yep. A lot of shares last episode. So I'm glad that we can sip on a tasty Marzen from a local brewery on this one. And that gives us plenty of time to dig right back into Dune.
Yes.
Dune. When you last saw us, we were about to get into the technical side of Dune, all the contraptions and technology that makes the Duneverse work the way that it does.
I mean, one of the reasons I brought that up was I thought the suit was genius, but what made me stop and really appreciate it in the film was when you didn't see him set it up, you didn't know they were under fucking ground, but in the off sequence where you're watching another version of something else that's happening in this universe for the story, they set up this tent that catches all the moisture that's released into the tent. But when they introduce you to it, they show you a close-up of this honeycomb-looking thing with like a, clearly a latex, a plastic tube running through it, like moving the wall. It was just so cool the way they introduced it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're like, what the fuck? And then he just pans out like, oh shit, the tent's catching water. That's fucking awesome. Like,
It was so well done.
dude, it's beautiful.
I do also love with their suits. What the suits are called?
Still suits.
Still suits. Yeah.
Same concept.
Yeah. That I loved that there was a clear line of going into the desert was about the same level of being careful about your suit as going out into space. Where
Right.
like where she's talking about like you actually put it on your boots the correct way. You did this right.
And where you're not going to live for 2 hours if you don't have one of these on the right way.
Yeah. That it was looking at the desert almost like it's outer space.
Yeah.
That it has that same level of like, oh no, you will die if you put this on wrong.
And it was so brilliant the way they actually set it up, because there were supposed to be catch pockets in the thighs and in the abdomen. And the motion of the body was supposed to power the pumps and filtration systems on it all the way back up to the tube going into the mouth. And all I could think of while watching and reading any of that was like, what does that taste like coming out? And all I could think of was Malort.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Well, because in the Lynch version, they say something about like your urine and your feces. Well, and I'm like, man, you're supposed to like shit.
Yeah.
Well, and in this version, they tried to make it a little bit easier where they're like, it's just your sweat and tears. And I'm like, motherfucker, if you have to add tears, how weepy are the Freemen? Like, how much are they just sitting in their fucking caves listening to Dashboard being like, vindicated, just fucking rocking out and just weeping?
No, and that's actually the
sad
one
boys.
Desert sad boys, yes.
that's been the one issue that I've always had with it. It was like, for everything that's supposed to catch every bit of moisture, like, why are the eyes exposed, man? Like, I've ridden motorcycles in dry conditions too many times, and like, I'm not doing that without goggles on.
No shit.
Why is there not something covering eyes and forehead? Like, there's so much moisture loss there, and like, I don't like sand in the eyes.
Apparently,
sucks.
Paul Atreides like is not utilizing his still suit very much because he's out there in the heat, like just in his fucking garb normally, as the dude's watering the fucking palm trees, and he's like, the dude's like, you shouldn't be out here in this weather, and he's like, no, I'm good. Not a glimmer of sweat on this fucking dude's body. It is 200,000 degrees, and he's just hanging out.
Was the Lynch version? Everybody's so sweaty all the time, just glistening with
Honestly,
sweat.
I don't think that was
As you
intentional. I think that just the AC wasn't keeping up with all the production.
So the the way Paul looked is actually the accurate interpretation, because I don't know if you've ever been out. Well, you were from out west, Hobbit.
Yeah,
but I've been in Arizona in August, and you don't sweat. You're hot as fuck. You don't sweat.
It will immediately evaporate off your body.
Yeah, you're sweating, but it's gone. So like Paul not having any sweat, or pretty much like the dude that was watering the plants having sweat was actually more in the negative than Paul not having sweat.
I mean, going by the book, that could be argued with, like, he still had Bene Gesserit training. They were able to control their bodies down to a cellular level and adjust their body temperature and control where they were sweating and not.
I want to give a little bit of respect to the Fremen that were, like, hanging out in, like, the bunker in the city. And he's like, what's up with these dudes? They don't have still suits. And he's like, I don't give a fuck about heat stroke.
They don't care about heat stroke.
These are the, like, sketched out fucking Fremen that are just like, I don't give a shit. That's like the fucking lower income housing of the Fremen that are just like, they don't get any, like, the plumbing doesn't work. Like, they have like shitty landlords. They're hanging out being like, fuck it, we get by.
Section 8, baby. That's what we do.
Section 8 Fremen.
Are they from Richmond?
They're from, that's the Richmond part of
Oregon Hill.
Oregon Hill.
Oh.
They're hanging out just playing fucking banjos and drinking like sweat shots with each other.
Well, it's funny.
Choksa.
You see, and I can't never remember her name, but Paul's mom,
Jessica,
when they're in the tent and she takes a sip and he's like, she makes a face. He's like, that's sweat and tears. Because Paul had his breakdown where he's basically like, those motherfuck off.
They made me a freak, Mom.
I will say, I love that. He could have went a whole different route with that, and I was actually really impressed with the way. I don't know if he was directed that way or if that's what the act. And I know the fucking act. I've seen him like two other things.
Timothy Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. Yeah. Shyamalan Ding Dong.
Yeah.
Shalamat. I think it's actually pronounced
something like that. Yeah. I don't know.
See, again, we're just fucking up these. We're fucking up these last names, but. That when he screams at her or like is unleashing his anger for what she has done to him, there's like no whine to it. He's just like literally rageful at her. It's like, fuck you. Like, you know, I didn't get any of this whiny like young boy mad at mommy thing. He was just like, if I could, I might have punched you right then kind of feeling, you know?
Well, it's like he's hanging out with his dad. Like his mom shows up and he's like, mom's fucking weird. She's into like crystals and shit, whatever. But he mostly hangs out with his dad. And then dad fucking dies. And then so he has to hang out with his mom, and he realizes that like mom brought him to like a fucking cocaine planet, and he's high all the time, and he's like out of sorts, and he doesn't know what is what. And she's like,
balls.
yeah, this is your fucking prophecy and shit, and like you're special. And he's like, I'm high. Like I'm not special. I'm fucking high.
Well, that's what the doctor brings up is like the spice affects certain people.
Yeah, he's like, he was like, it wasn't an allergic reaction. I was just fucking stoned.
Yes,
you're just sensitive to it. It's a psychoreactive substance.
Yeah, exactly.
Those balls to the wall.
Yep.
Could you imagine if we realized that cocaine actually gave us like the ability to like fold space?
Fuck, I'd have so many problems in my life.
Yeah, I don't.
Then
Dude.
South America would just be like the new Arrakis.
South America would be the dominant force of everything.
Right?
Yeah, South America would become the new Dubai, the richest
Right.
fucking place in the world. Seriously, like,
Woo! They were like, no, you just think you're folding space. Yeah, I fucking do.
you're fucking right, I do.
Yeah.
I've been on this journey before.
Prove to me I'm not.
Like Lowdown, you got into the gas again.
No, it'd be like that meme with the dude at the table is like, prove me wrong. I am folding fucking
I need the
space.
second half of this just to be like Paul Atreides sitting in like in the former city that he's like built back up, and there's this pile of spice in front of him, and the Harkonnen are trying to break through the door. It's like, you want to play rough? Okay.
Oh shit.
That's a different book.
Which, speaking of, they do
That's part 2 of the movie.
they do show visions that Paul has of the crusade that he sees happening in the future.
Oh, God.
Of him and
Yeah, he does.
I don't remember. Zendaya.
I'm crying. I need my still scene.
That looks so.
But Zendaya and him just like fucking just trudging through the universe, just bringing their fucking noise and funk at the same time.
Dude, that scene.
It's actually referred to as a full-blown jihad because it is the Fremen leaving the planet to take over the rest of the galaxy in the Mahdi's name. And it is a religious war on the rest of the
And
galaxy.
That's what interesting to me with building this universe is that when I was watching this, I got such a huge vibe of the British imperialism in India. And I dug into that a little bit more to see how in line with it, but it's not that in line. It's definitely taking parts of that, but also he researched Native Americans and being displaced in the United States. There's a lot of just imperialism in general that is researched with different experiences that got kind of put into this book.
Well, also, you think of the Bene Gesserit, they're kind of eugenics program.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
There is no kind of about that. It is blatantly stated like we are conducting eugenics.
Yeah, there's eugenics, and then is this white savior who's gonna save all these people? So
now, and I'm intrigued with the white savior aspect of things because it does kind of turn that on its head a little bit in the book, at least. It hasn't gotten to that in part 1 just yet, but it does have that a little bit of that white savior dust on it.
Yeah, but I think where they really deter from that, and he, right now, in the way part 1 ends, he's nothing compared to what he needs to be without people that aren't white.
Yeah,
his force. So, a lot of the white savior complex I get but it ends up being them going through a journey, but not relying on people to get to this tumultuous, place where they are the savior.
Yeah.
He is nothing.
Yeah.
Without anybody that he's with right now.
But also,
he is nothing.
It's a little bit more complicated because, you could talk about the land bridge and that Native Americans came over. If you want to get into some weird brass tacks about natives or whatever, but that's fucking horseshit.
They're not native anyway. The Fremen aren't natives anyway.
Nothing is no humans are native to Arrakis. The culture that the Fremen have developed in that is religiously based, not culturally based. It's more about your ability to kind of connect to the world, to the worms, to the spice
desert, and
so it isn't about necessarily he's called an outworlder, and that's the term that they call him is from another land, but the real way that you become a native is literally to be connected enough to the environment, and that's their line. So there is some conversation of it not being a white savior thing so much as that this is already a transplanted race of people.
Yeah.
And so to be part of it is more of that you have to fully incorporate yourself into their culture. It's not you bringing your culture to them.
No,
You've
exactly.
got to incorporate into theirs.
That was a way better way to say it. It's not. Yeah, most of the white saviors we see them bringing their culture, and that's what's going to save the people. That's what.
Yeah.
My way is what's going to do it. And no, you're right.
And that does not happen whatsoever. The only thing that happens there is that the catalyst was missing, which was he wasn't overexposed to spice and exposed to the Fremen culture.
Exactly.
So the moral of this story is if you
do drugs and get naturalized.
If you were raised where you were told that you were really smart, you were gifted, you had all this potential, the thing that you haven't done that will unleash that is hard drugs.
Do hard drugs and go hang out with all of the people that your family said you should always avoid.
Yeah, hang out with the other people doing lots of hard drugs.
You don't get remembered as being one of the greatest artists of anything throughout time unless you've done some hard drugs.
Then there's also D'Antwoord. So I mean,
hey, you know what? The drugs that the actual artist did were harder than what D'Antwoord's just crack. We're talking like heroin.
I think D'Antwoord is just like freebasing like tub rust. I don't think they're even.
D'Antwoord was freebasing sex trafficking.
Yeah,
Oh.
Like D'Antwoord, they're looking at like fucking like redneck rappers that are doing meth, and they're just like meth, whatever.
That's true. I guess I was thinking more, Velvet Underground, and
Oh, you mean the band that just only sang about heroin? Yeah,
whatever. They wrote some good songs.
One literally called Heroin.
That's right.
That is, there is a level of respect I have. If you are a heroin addict and you're so devoted as a heroin addict, they're just like, I'm going to write an entire record about heroin. And the banger, the fucking banger
is heroin.
That it does well.
Through my veins.
She's my life. She's my wife.
Yeah.
What the? All right, Lou.
Hey, Lou never stopped though.
Who gave you money?
Lou
Who
never
gave you money after that?
Lou never stopped writing albums about heroin.
Don't give a heroin junkie money. Like that's
Paul Atreides should have wrote a whole entire album about spice.
No shit.
It would just be a Clutch record. Like the desert rock.
Allow me to adjust my steel suit.
Getting a little bit of that sludge like distortion in there.
Yeah.
Tell me if Fremen had an underground music scene, it would just be a bunch of Clutch knockoff bands.
Holy shit. Oh. Desert warfare is real.
Yeah, right.
Becomes like a staple at Burning Man.
Desert power. That's it. I'm really intrigued by how they set up the second act going into the end of this movie where
Nice segue.
I'm sorry, like I'm still stuck on this Clutch thing, dude. Because I'm like the new album, Spice Rocker.
well, that's the name of the episode for sure. It's Spice Rocker.
Because I'm a Spice Rocker. It's like, come on, man. Fucking, you started it.
Yeah,
you fucking started it.
Fucking Spice Rocker is perfect. That's fucking great. But no, it's like going into the later part of the movie where they're getting closer to like the city, where they're going back to the fucking where there's a lot of Fremen, and first thing they see is somebody just fully like fucking half piping a fucking sandworm.
Yeah, yeah.
Catch a sandworm, bruh.
Yeah, right.
Dude.
Man,
that was such
you
a rad
surfers
scene,
are rad.
dude.
Holy shit, you surf a sandworm. That's a holy
dude, that scene had so much fucking just
like all of the like, oh, screw you, this is awesome, man. Like,
seriously.
I got stoked when this came out. I was like, I'm making a goddamn Chris knife, like, just so I have one. Like, I made one too, the specs, and then I saw that and I was like, fuck, I should have made fucking sandworm hooks.
Yeah, right?
That would have been way more badass.
And I do want to make mention of one of the biggest complaints about this movie with a lot of people is the fact that it does kind of have a uneventful finish to it. You do get to see somebody riding a sandworm, but also it's part 1 of 2. And let's say if there was Star Wars and Empire was the first movie, it would end kind of similarly.
I don't know. I thought it was a good end. Like, because you just see that guy and they're walking through the desert and everything, and they look over and they see the guy.
I like your miming of walking through the desert. That was a good move there. Yeah.
Just walking through, But yeah, it's just that then you look over and you see the guy just hanging 10 on a
Dude,
I just wish the dude
sandworm.
turned
It's like,
and just gave like a sup.
No,
Sup, bruh.
Sup, bruh.
dude, it's like exactly. Not only do you have a dude riding a fucking sandworm,
Yes.
I mean, but you also like 10 minutes before that, you had arguably one of the greatest choreographed fights on screen.
Oh God.
I mean, I'm just saying, like that blade fight was gorgeous. Like
It was
you saw every
beautifully
movement,
done.
you saw every block, you saw every. It was so well done. It was like a dance, but it wasn't. I know that wasn't done in that style, but we all know choreography is a dance, and the way their movements were just flowing. So close combat.
Can I just say, over the course of that, just like the absolute rage from that of every time that Paul had a killing stroke ready,
Do you
and
yield?
just like sorry.
No, that's right. He was like, "Do you yield?" And he screamed. He's like, "Oh,
there is no yield."
I don't want to kill this dude.
And just watching the rage build up.
yeah, Paul had him
over
like
and over.
5 times, 6 times before
Yeah.
he killed him."
And that is literally my favorite line. That is directly from the book of Stilgar looking at him. It's like, he's toying with him. Tell him to stop toying with him. This is dishonorable. Wait, they went a little bit deeper in that, and he's like, "What? Why is he doing this? Kill him."
Yeah.
It's this.
It's a cultural difference of opinion on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because they had made a big point earlier about how Paul had never killed anybody before. So, yeah, I think he was like, do you yield? Because he didn't want to kill him. He'd never really killed anybody
Well, also, this is
before.
somebody that
Bested
he's
him in
seen in his
battle.
visions as
Yeah.
somebody that's supposed to be guiding him through like
Yeah.
like Fremen culture and the environment. And so this is a person that he has challenges both like with killing somebody, but also this is somebody that his dreams have told him is an immensely important person. It's only in that moment that he recognizes the importance is that he needs to take his life
Yeah.
to truly transcend.
The sleeper
Exactly.
has awakened.
Yeah.
Exactly. But even at during the fight, the way Paul's training has gone, it's from a level of like, I just bested you in battle. I don't need to kill you if you yield. There's nothing dishonorable with yielding if you're bested in battle. You just acknowledge that you're bested in battle. But culturally, like, that's not happening. And like I said, he got him like 5 or 6 times before he actually killed him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had him so many times.
The Freeman, like,
Absolutely.
that's a harsh environment. It's like, if you got bested, then we don't need the weakest link around here. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
You got to fucking go, bro.
And he thought he was the best. Everyone's like,
giant
oh, he's a
worms
good
and
fighter.
fucking
We're going to stick a
32,000
straw in
degree heat.
you and drink you.
Yeah, right.
And like that's one thing that I really think that the Sci-Fi's miniseries version actually did really well of that was that the tipping point of when he actually realized like the new route of his life wasn't when he won that fight and made his first kill. It was when he actually had to speak at Jameis's funeral.
Mm.
And we haven't gotten to that point in the movie. It was in the book, and it was, Paul having to go like, Jameis was my friend. He taught me what it meant to survive.
Well, and that's something I want to kind of throw at you before we get too close to the end here is that as somebody that has read the book a few times, just a couple, not like obsessively or anything, that the adaptation into this version, granted, I was very happy they split it into 2 because a book that's 400 pages, I don't care how good the writing is and how expressive the storytelling is with just the environment. You can't get 400 pages into a 2-hour movie or 2.5-hour movie.
And whenever it's been tried, it fucking fails.
Well,
Hard.
Even that aside, like, I mean, the book did not have a whole lot of actual like character progression and development. There's not strong personalities. There's your role, but if they had actually put that much into developing characters as unique individuals, this could have easily been a 1,500-page book just to get that amount of plot line through.
Well, I think that honestly is the challenge that some people are running into with this version of Dune is that these characters, even though you get an idea of their motivations, you don't get fully fleshed out characters. Even Paul, the main character, you get where he comes from. You get what his expectations are put upon him in multiple different ways. You get what his drive is. But you don't have a really understanding about how he feels about all those things really.
Right.
Because even in a 2.5 hour movie a 400-page book that was split into two, there were scenes that were rushed.
Yes.
Because they had to be.
Yes.
And that was weird watching a 2.5 hour movie where I was like, I honestly need more exposition here.
There was a lot of things that were rushed. There were a lot of really vital things that were left out that actually gave context to how the families were in their interactions too.
Honestly, I could be wrong in this, but I'm just saying I think we've honestly been spoiled by Marvel films.
Yeah.
Where we actually get everything we need kind of fleshed out in the story. Yeah. Where, I mean, the universe was set up to flesh out like that.
Yeah.
Dune it's not going to,
Dune's a different animal.
Exactly.
Even something like, if you want to do a comparison, the Civil War story in Marvel Comics is it's a 6-issue run, but there's 110 issues involved in the Civil War comics. I've read every single fucking one, including the fucking Howard the Duck tie-in, where he goes to basically the DMV of registering as a special person. And after all the forms coming back and you got the wrong form and stuff, he's like, fuck this, I don't give a shit, and just leaves. And that's the whole comic. That with Civil War, it's such an immense story in the comics, and they reduced it to a very small version
to fit the MCU universe they already built.
Universe that if you were trying to tell that Civil War story in the movies, that would be literally phase 1, 2, and 3 to fully arc that story. It's too big.
So that would have been, instead of the Infinity Gauntlet, it would have been Civil War.
Yeah, and because it's a different beast, they were able to reduce it to kind of an homage to the original intent of the Civil War story. Whereas with Dune, because it's dealing with both like political intrigue, philosophy, science, the human intent, it's not something you can really reduce that same way.
Yeah, which is why I think even though we did get like a little over 2.5 hours with this film, roughly right at 2.5, we still felt like we were missing. Some of it. So
it's better than getting a Dune where it's like a 2-hour action epic where it's just like a dude comes to a fun desert land and he meets new friends.
Yeah, God, I would have been livid.
I know.
Well, I think that's the difference between like the Lynch version and the Denis V version is that the Lynch one is just so exposition laden, and then you get into the Villeneuve one and it's just subtext.
Yep.
So you kind of have to be like, okay, I think I know what's going on. So yeah, it's just a lot of subtext that you have to kind of like.
That's why, I think
work your way through.
They were very quick to greenlight part 2 after the first weekend because they realized not only did it do decent, but the amount of times people are going to be rewatching this film, they're going to get it back on purchases, on streams.
I'm buying this fucking movie.
I'm buying the fuck out of this movie.
I'm buying everything involved in this. And going on what you're saying, one of the things that I loved that they actually did really well on this that they haven't done in any of the other versions was how much they actually incorporated the use of sign language while other conversations
That was amazing.
That was fucking great.
Because throughout the book, it was a constant thing where people would be talking to each other and just carrying on casual conversations verbally while being able to communicate with sign language and communicating a completely different set of ideas and what is actually going on to give subtext of what's happening. I was so elated when they did it the way that they did in this movie. It was brilliant. I was so proud and happy that they kept that in there.
It's clear that this writer was Herbert, Frank Herbert, that he had a very impressive mind, but also one fucking psycho, because he was able to like develop everything to such a degree where even as dense as those books are, he had pages and pages of of character development and backstory and all these characters to a like intense obsessive degree.
Yeah,
and that's why the books are so dense. But also, that's not even fucking close to what it could have been if he was a fucking beat writer and just talked about everyone's feelings and every moment of their interaction and shit.
Oh God, if he actually like started delving into it instead of trying to just get the point across.
It's like, it's hot here, Paul said, as he thought about and then like a fucking 5-page diatribe about different places he'd been to with different moisture temperatures and how there was a girl here at one thing and that's a separate fucking tangent and fuck no.
Well, I guess that's different from like him versus like George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
Because, like, Jesus Christ.
She's like, oh, let me tell you.
Let me get into that.
Where's that next book, George?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, George.
Show's
still
done with.
waiting.
They're coming out with a prequel, bitch. Where you at? No, I'm sorry.
Anytime now, right? Is that what you said 8 years ago?
Honestly,
Anytime.
I think that's why I just have not picked up Dune yet, like the actual book, because like trying to slog through all of the Game of Thrones books have just turned me off. I'm like, Dune, no. I'm not going to do that again.
Now, I will say, again, having very faint. I know I read Dune. That's about where it stops because
Yeah.
it was, fuck me, 22
But that's also
years ago.
17-year-old me being like, yeah, no, I totally get this. This is art.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing that I wasn't picking up on fucking half the shit that the book was giving me.
Like,
Yeah.
but I will say it sounds like Dune is written completely different than Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
So it's probably like
it
a much
definitely
different
is.
journey than Game of Thrones.
But then you get a lot more into the detail and more character development as it goes into Children of Dune and Heretics of Dune when it starts going into family, when it goes from just dealing with Leto and Paul to Paul and Leto the second, and then Paul the second, Leto the second, and
Later 1, later 2, later 3.
and all the kids involved with that. It starts going. It starts getting a lot more character development later on in it, but
You're talking about the
people die a
original
lot.
some of the original 6 series
Yeah.
run, right?
Yeah.
Well, because if I remember correctly, it's something like 37,000 years is the entire like scope of the Dune series.
It's the 6 books?
Not quite.
Wait,
Not quite 37.
Well, it's a lot. It's well past Paul's time.
we're still talking about just the 6 books, right? The
Yeah.
original Dune series.
Well,
It
God,
might be
God
that
Emperor,
might be the additional ones that goes to 37,000.
Okay, woo!
yeah.
Fuck me.
God Emperor of Dune covers about 3,500 years.
Hey.
Yikes!
I
Fucking yikes!
I draw a
Ay,
blank
ay,
when
ay.
it comes toward and when it gets more towards the later books. I think it's like a total of about 5,000 years between Dune and Chapter House
And here's the thing that intrigues me
or
is that
Sisterhood.
this was clearly written and done in a way that Denis Villeneuve was planning on being fully involved in the sequel to Dune.
I
But-
hope.
And with the amount of conversations happening, even people that don't like it, that's also important in this kind of a movie.
Yeah.
People are going to be intrigued to see what happens with the second half. And you're going to see gangbuster numbers in like hopefully open theaters when it comes out.
I hope so.
And what that sets up is there's a bunch of other books. And my question is that there is going to be a point where Villeneuve, knowing how to approach it in a way that it becomes financially successful, when he bows out of being involved more than a producer on this series, and who takes over for him. Because he's not going to do 6, 8, 12 films, whatever it takes.
Why
to
not?
do. Because he's a creative. He's going to have 80 other ideas that he wants to do. And honestly,
Yeah.
with a mind like his, with the stuff that he's done before, I want him to have the opportunity to try
Yeah, I
something.
don't want to be locked in like
yeah.
Lucas in the original trilogy.
Yeah, I
and
want
like
him
being
to
involved
explore
with the prequels.
other stuff. And I'm interested to see who kind of like jumps on board at some point if it does get to that level.
He has to have say in the director.
Yeah, obviously.
I think he's got an ultimate like final say so in like if whoever the director is can portray.
Well, I guess because with his artistic style, I mean, he's just so unique in his, like, you can see his movies and be like, yep, that was him. That was Denis V.
Oh, I 100% agreed.
Yeah.
100% agreed.
Yeah, it's
Like-
just, I think it'd just be kind of hard to step into those shoes.
You've
Like,
got
'cause-
other auteurs like Aronofsky, but I don't know if Aronofsky would be able to do the right like his is a different. He does play with the religious tropes a lot with his films, so that is an option. But
Would he step into something this large now? Too?
he stepped into what he did. One of the fucking one of the fucking Noah movies. It was what Exodus and Noah. He did one of them.
He did Exodus. No, one with Christian Bale is the one he did.
Okay, but
Whichever one that
was a big old blockbuster, like $200 million film.
Okay.
That bombed really bad.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm just asking because like my version of what I love about that director was not those movies of this scale.
Yeah, because my thing is like, and this is my thing. I think he's just visually stunning with everything he does. And I'll admit, I was a little let down by some of the things he's done. I was a little let down by this, and I was a little let down by like the new Blade Runner. But I think it's because I had such high expectations going into it. Because like with Blade Runner, I was just like, oh my fucking God, that's one of my favorite movies. And then I was like, and then, you know, with Dune, I was like, oh my fucking God, this is gonna be so amazing. And then
that is intriguing to me, and I don't want to like as much as I want to like scream in your face and how wrong you are, but
do it.
No, because
we're gonna have like a whole knife fight about this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're gonna have a Chris knife fight.
Audrey
Right,
No, but I chip and shatter.
I think it's actually more important to really like give space to that opinion, because like the one thing that nobody's saying is that this movie is not visually stunning.
Yeah,
everybody across the board is everybody's like, oh yeah, it's fucking insane.
And it might hurt because maybe that little 4K TV wasn't where you needed to fucking watch that either. I'm just saying. What?
Hey,
just kidding. Get the fuck out of my house.
This bitch is immunocompromised.
No, I was just fucking with. I get it. I was just I totally get why people don't want to step in, because honestly, I had to get. I'm glad we had the trailer, the long ass trailer, because I had to get comfortable. Because when I picked my seat, because to see it in IMAX, like I was the first one, like reserved seat.
Oh yeah, I reserved it several days ahead of time, so I got the bar seating.
I did it the night before,
front, so like I didn't have like
I did it
people
on Sunday night while I was watching the Sunday night late game for Monday at 1. When I got there, like. There was a bunch of people. Now, it doesn't bother me because it's spaced out, but there was a couple right next to me, and the girlfriend, after the boyfriend was like, hey, over here, other side, didn't want to fucking move. And I'm sitting there like, this bitch, God damn it. And
like, so we've been doing the assigned seating long enough. That should be just a known
But I'm just
quantity.
like, I get the comfort level, especially if you are immunocompromised, of being around in an enclosed space. I totally understand that. That was just more talks of probably why you didn't get the visual thing.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm watching it on good enough TV and surround sound and everything. But it's, I was just wondering how they did theaters and everything.
Well, I'm actually more interested in the context that we talked about earlier on the episode about how Lynch's version was more overt in its narrative.
Yeah.
Whereas Villeneuve is more of like subtext.
Yeah.
And I think that more aligns with what you prefer in the style of storytelling, where a lot of people do enjoy like the subtextual approach to the storytelling, but also that narrative storytelling is also very popular. It's really more what you align yourself with and how much it's going to affect you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think for me, I'm a little dumb sometimes. I sometimes need things like laid
like
out
handed to you.
Hey, I'm going to say this right now.
Well, it's just
We're
like
all
when
a little
things.
dumb sometimes.
Oh yeah, no shit.
Well, when things come to like politics and everything, and like plots within plots and everything, I'm just like, all right, I'm trying to keep up with like who's in cahoots with who. And like who's backstabbing who?
So I was the theater just screaming, "It's too much subterfuge!" and like, throwing your popcorn and leaving.
It's also nice because like when I was watching it at home, I could pause it for a second and be like, "Wait, what the fuck was going on with this?" Like, because like I said, it'd been a long time since I'd seen the Lynch version, so I was just like, "Okay, what's going?" Couldn't remember what was going on half the time, so I was like. Let me pause.
no disrespect to people that are watching it from home because
I did not mean that. I was just fucking with.
Yeah.
No, I get
Audrey Atreides.
But I will say one thing I do love about going to the theater is that the no phones thing. If I'm watching stuff at home, it's just habit. It's like I don't even realize that I'm doing that. I'm pulling it up and like, oh, I got 2 notifications on Facebook.
That's a really bad habit.
No,
you should
I'll
probably
just turn
break
my
yourself
phone
from.
No
There's a really
Seriously.
easy way to break yourself of that. It's called put it on the projector and eat some mushrooms and then watch it. That's what I did. The third time.
Huh?
Perfect.
We brought up mushrooms. That's it.
Yep, it's perfect time for us to go into the final part of our show, which is Drunken Scene. Making a drunken scene. So if you could all pull up your scenes
Pants
here.
We were just. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, the pants are coming down after we stop recording.
Oh, mine have been down. Where you guys been?
Yeah.
What's up?
So we've got Duke Leto and Lady Jessica for the first one, and then we've got Paul Atreides and Duke Leto on the second one. So
I will do Paul. On the second one.
I'll be your daddy.
Yeah.
All right. So it's for you two to suss out Lady Jessica and Duke Leto. So
ready.
I'll do Jessica.
Okay. All right. So the first starts up with Nick being Duke Leto Atreides and Lady Jessica played by Audrey.
Okay, so we're up first. All right. Jessica, you gave me a son. From the moment he was born, I never questioned you. I trusted you completely, even when you walked in the shadows. Now I'm asking you this one thing. If anything happens, will you protect our son?
With my life.
Nice.
I'm not asking his mother. I'm asking the Bene Gesserit. Will you protect Paul?
Why are you having these thoughts? Leto, this is not you.
I thought we had more time.
No.
I love how she didn't answer the fucking question, by the way.
I like that.
Oh, that was a total
Nick is doing Glenn Beck talking to the camera, and Audrey is doing telenovela. So it's nice.
I'm doing the 80s version now.
All right, so son.
No.
Oh, you're gonna hate me.
All right, so whenever you're ready.
Daddy, what if my sweet ass is in the future of House Atreides?
Fuck. A great man doesn't seek to lead, he is called to it. But if your answer is no, you'd still be the only thing you ever needed you to be, my son.
Did you just go full Ben Stiller in Tropic Thunder?
Yes.
Jesus.
You make me happy.
Fucking Simple Jack over here.
Are you from the Gloucester of like these planets?
I told you.
Right.
I told you. You're gonna hate me.
God damn.
You started when you said I'll be your daddy. I'm like, all right, we're in, bitch. You're in, motherfucker.
I immediately regretted that.
Yeah,
decision.
motherfucker.
All right,
Don't
so-
play with me, motherfucker. I will go.
I need a still suit.
No shit. Yeah.
You're wasting all that precious moisture.
She's leaking.
Yo, so I wonder if so do the female still suits have like an extra catch down there? Like you get them like super turned on.
No, I think the amount of ball sweat that I've experienced in the summer heat, I think there's just a normal.
It's just catch pockets.
Yeah, it's just a normal
catch pot.
Yeah,
Just a catch pot.
it's just a little kettle down there to catch all the.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well,
Fair
it's got
enough.
the poop and peeing lady parts.
And on that note,
Oh, see, that would be a whole night's episode right there. We could go in depth on that.
Thank you so much for listening to this fucking chaotic episode about Dune Part 1 from 2021 and our conversations about the other adaptations and their relation to the book.
And
I wanna
genitalia.
thank the panelists so much for joining me on this journey through the desert of
Lady parts are spicy.
really bad puns and jokes. And lady parts.
Lady parts. And
very,
daddies.
Very moist lady parts and daddies. Yes.
And the sweet
Spice
asses
my
being the
flow.
future of House Atreides. There's that too.
Look for God damn it.
Oh yeah.
Look for Clutch's Spice Rocker to drop later this month.
He was just pissed. He wasn't pissed about any of the episodes. He was pissed because he couldn't get that in.
Yeah,
That's what he was pissed about.
The clutch joke. The clutch joke is what we had to link it back to.
It's literally called the Clutch Joke. Like it's
Like the clutch joke. Yeah, get it? Like,
all right. Fuck. All right, we gotta fuck off the air. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to rate, review, subscribe. Anywhere you get your podcast, make sure to subscribe. Check out the other shows on the network. From the Mouths of Madness with Lowdown.
what's up? Hell yeah.
Smack My Pitch Up with me, and also Deeply Upsetting with me and Amy Bogard.
F.U. Hunter is also with me.
Yeah,
on
fuck
Madness.
you, Hunter. That's also on Beautiful
Disasters.
Disasters. So yeah, it's a very ancestral network that we
Oh
run here,
yeah, we share all kinds of stuff.
including on Moisture.
Yes.
Part of the Bene
On
Gesserit
Moisture.
program.
Yeah, right.
Holy fuck. That's gotta be. We gotta have a shirt with GUI equivalent to that, like the network to the Benny Judges program. Come on, dude. That's fucking.
I'll see what I can
That's
do.
fucking awesome.
And on that note, thank you so much for
Sorry.
listening. Find us next week for another episode. I'm Mike the Hobbit. Join us or die.
Shut the fuck up,
Spice
Hobbit.
must flow.
Join us or die, join us or die, or I will swallow your soul.
GUIPodcast.com